The first ever battle between Victor Wembanyama and Giannis didn't just not disappoint, but delivered us one of the best games of the entire season. Both got to showcase their arsenal, which included highlight plays going at one another, and it all came down to a final last-second shot. The first direct matchup between the two came when Jeremy Sochan slipped a screen, which the Bucks switched. Wemby then tried to attack Giannis downhill, but dealt with all sorts of contact and drew a foul. On the other end, I want you to focus on how the court is set up. Because Wemby's matched up with Brook Lopez, what the Bucks did was put Brook on the weak side wing, while Giannis isolates from an open corner. The only rotation Victor could possibly make to protect the rim is right down the middle, so Giannis attacks baseline and gets to a reverse lay. Here it is again. Wemby's forced to respect Brook on that right wing, so the Bucks run through Giannis on the opposite block. And it's a real easy catch, one dribble and finish. This was a pretty consistent theme throughout the beginning of the game. Wemby stretched out to the wing or the top of the key, and Giannis working to establish position so that he could completely demoralize San Antonio's forwards. And here's what it looked like when Wemby was actually involved in the action. Brook's gonna attempt to screen him out of the play so that he's not able to step in front of Giannis, who's building up a head of steam, but he does a good job of getting around it so that he can get vertical, and Sochan recovers to make a play on the ball from behind. His size and length just disrupt so much of what opposing offenses try to do. This time it's a pick and pop between Dame and Lopez, and just look at how much space Dame has to work with. He's not even going to try to attack Wemby though, and moves it back to Lopez. Wemby makes a pretty good recovery to at least make his presence known, and the Bucks come up empty-handed. On the other side of things, the Spurs were running lots of high ball screens. Of course, Brook tends to almost always sit back in a deep drop coverage, meaning that they had easy access to the pick and pop. Only problem, Victor was really cold from 3, so they weren't getting many points on the board. Of course, the counter would be to just attack Brook in that drop, and who better to do it than Wemby? He takes one dribble right before spinning to his left, which creates an angle to set up the world's highest release on a jump hook, kissing it perfectly off the glass for 2. In the second quarter, Giannis continued his dominance. Instead of Brook Lopez, it's Bobby Portis who's spacing the floor to keep Wemby away from the basket, which means that, once again, the Freak can do whatever he wants attacking baseline. Jeremy Sochan never had a chance at defending this guy. This time you're going to see him build up a head of steam from up top, throw a shoulder into Sochan's chest before spinning, and that sets up a big time dunk. All while Wemby has no choice but to watch from behind. Very rarely did Victor actually get matched up with Giannis, and the difference was astonishing. This one started with a cross match in transition, meaning that when Middleton attacks on a drive, the big man's already parked down low in a position to help. Middleton finds himself in a bad spot and tries to use Giannis as an outlet, but Victor's taken that away too. When he's near the basket, everything changes. Here's another play that starts in transition, and Giannis makes a phenomenal touch pass after drawing Victor towards him, which in most cases would lead to an easy opportunity for Portis. But against this guy, it's one of his 5 blocked shots. I should also mention that a lot of this applies to Giannis as well. When he's in position, things are a lot different, because he's a pretty good defensive player himself. Giannis actually spent some time guarding Wemby in the second. It started with Wemby catching the ball up top and using a ball screen, but with Connaughton jumping out in a blitz and Giannis nearly poking it out from behind, he was forced to gather his dribble early. Now, I think it goes without saying that most guys aren't able to create a quality shot after picking up their dribble 25 feet away from the basket. Victor, though, takes one long stride, throws it to himself off glass, and slams it home. Here's another example with Giannis defending. Wemby doesn't have a dribble, so he's using those giraffe-esque legs to hunt for an opportunity with his pivot, which results in a complete collapse of the defense and leaves Keldon Johnson with a wide open jumper that just comes up short. And all that's to say, I'm not sure the league will ever be able to get used to his length. He makes multiple freakish plays every game, like this one where he's completely boxed out from the front with a potential rebounder on either side. Yet with one outstretched reach and a couple taps, he creates a second chance opportunity. That possession would go on to create a wide open Jeremy Sochan 3, but this time nobody makes an effort to box out Victor, so he's got himself a free 2 points. That takes us to quarter number 3, where the Spurs opened with the same matchups, but a different tactic. Now when Giannis gets the ball on an open side, Wemby's gonna completely commit to the ball and abandon Brook on that opposite wing in hopes that they can alleviate some of that pressure being put on the rim. Next time down the floor though, Wemby found himself cross-matched with Giannis in semi-transition. Giannis drops a shoulder into Wemby's core and goes right through him on his way to a layup. And that wasn't the only time he found success going into Wemby's body like that. This one starts with a ball screen to get the switch, and he once again gets really low so that he can throw off Wemby's balance, this time earning a couple of free throws. That's not to say Wemby didn't still have his wins though. Here's another that starts with a switch, but Giannis doesn't have all of that space to build up a head of steam and create that contact. So he instead chooses to step back for a jumper that doesn't fall. You'll have these plays where it feels like he's completely walling off the paint from any sort of offense. Brook tries to attack him on a drive but gets obliterated, and when Giannis gathers for a second chance, Brook tries to help by completely pulling Wemby in the opposite direction, only for him to still make a play on the ball while simultaneously drawing an offensive foul. For every Victor's success though, came a big time play from Giannis. Here you're going to see him fake a pass to the open Lopez, and Victor bites, giving him an angle to attack down the middle before dunking all over him. This next one starts with a high pick and roll. Sochan's forced to step out because of Dame's own scoring threat, which leaves Giannis with a plethora of space to get downhill. Wemby tries to close that space, but doesn't get there in time to prevent another dunk. Most of Wemby's time though was still spent against Lopez. Here it's a pick and pop, and he uses that 8-foot wingspan to take away the pass before starting on a fast break. With just Damian Lillard to beat, he goes behind his back, then puts Lopez on a poster. And that's a perfect segue back to San Antonio's offense, because much of it came as a result of Wemby attacking Brook. They were clearing a side of the floor and getting him the ball for quick isolations from the corner. This time Brook takes away his driving lane, but there's just nothing you can do to prevent him from finding an opportunity over the top. Here's another example. Instead of attacking baseline, he's gonna jab before going middle, and that gets him just one step by Brook's hip. One step is more than what he needs, and he scoops it up and in with the left for 2 points plus a foul. Next time he's gonna set up out near the logo instead of in the corner, and like most 7'4" guys do, come off a high ball screen and pull up for a long range bucket. Later in the quarter, the Bucks did put Giannis on him as a primary matchup, but that didn't change much. Wemby appears to be moving into some dribble handoff action, only to absolutely shred Giannis on a backdoor cut. And I've got to run that back real quick, because did you see how quickly he shifted his balance to change direction? That's just absurd. In the fourth, we again saw the Spurs go back to that corner isolation for Wemby. And just like that first time, he tries to attack baseline but gets closed off, only to find an angle to push it up and in over the rim protector. Milwaukee also tried going to some zone, but that really isn't an option against Victor because of how easy it is to get him the ball in the middle. Lopez comes up a bit too aggressively to meet him and picks up a foul, which led to free throws because they were in the bonus. On the other end, we continued to see similar things. Just like in the third, when Giannis sets up on an open side to isolate, Wemby's gonna commit to the ball from the opposite wing, meaning that this defender now has to cover both weak side shooters. Naturally, that means if Giannis kicks the ball, it should lead to some easy offense, and you'd think that's exactly what happened, only for Wemby to travel the entire court and swat a corner three. This next one starts with Giannis using a high ball screen to get the switch onto Wemby, and with that head of steam, again he's able to go right into the big man's lower body to create an angle to finish, drawing a foul in the process for a chance at 3. So a possession later, when Giannis again sets up to attack Wemby in space, he leaves a ton of room to protect himself and the paint from that battering ram of a driving game. Instead of trying to force the issue, Giannis settles for the open 3, which would usually be what the defense wants, but he buries it. And that wasn't the only one either. Next time down, he again found himself on an island with nobody attempting to take away the space and decided to test the waters, putting the Bucks up by 3 with a couple minutes to go. Victor was not going down easy though. A minute later, Dame attacks the cup in isolation, only to get wiped off the glass. And when the Spurs push the pace, guess who's trailing the offense and stepping into a top of the key triple to tie it up. This of course warranted a response from Giannis, and as he sets up, he signals Brook to set that ball screen so he can attack in space. But things are a little bit different. All game long, Brook's been setting these screens on Giannis's man so that he can drive into Wemby's body. But now he's actually screening Wemby so that when Giannis starts his attack, there's no immediate help. Now you're relying on Trey Jones to protect the rim, and let's just say that's not too good. Sohan missed a 3 with a chance to tie, which meant that the Spurs desperately needed a stop. The Bucks go back to Old Faithful, a ball screen for Giannis to build a head of steam, and this was probably the hardest bump he threw at Wemby's lower body all night. Remember when I said that length changes everything though? Even though Giannis is able to push him to the opposite side of the paint, when he takes off he still gets met at the apex, and Wemby picks up one of the best blocks I've ever seen. That leaves the Spurs with one chance. Down 3, under 10 seconds to go. They try a pick and pop, and because 2 go with Vassell, Wemby's left wide open on the wing. Dame rotates up from the corner to close that space, and I'm sure he could just shoot right over him like he's not even there, but he makes the unselfish extra pass to Trey Jones. You can't possibly get a higher quality shot in this situation. Unfortunately, it doesn't drop, and the Spurs lose. Wembanyama finished this game with 27 points and blocked 5 shots while altering countless others. But ultimately, Giannis got the better of him in this one, pouring in 44 points on 72% true shooting to go along with 14 rebounds, 7 assists, and the win. It's so exciting to see how 19-year-old Victor continues to grow and respond to these matchups with established NBA superstars. 17 days from today, the Spurs play the 76ers for the first time this season. And I know I'm looking forward to seeing how he approaches the dominance of Joel Embiid. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought of this duel. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.